Welcome to JMU's virtual open house. My name is Dr. Mira Cole-Williams, and I am in the Educational Foundations and Exceptionalities Department in the College of Ed at JMU, and I teach and coordinate our inclusive early childhood education program. So welcome. I'm going to talk to you a little bit tonight about our inclusive early childhood education program, and hopefully we'll have some opportunities for you to ask questions and get as much information as you need. So this quote right here really sums up our philosophy and ideas and foundation of the inclusive early childhood education program. And I'm going to start referring to that program as ICE because it's a mouthful. So the acronym we use is ICE. But in the ICE program, we really focus in on inclusive practices. And what do we mean by that? That means that we see all children for their strengths. We see all children for their abilities. And we look at uniqueness and differences as being things that are beautiful about every student that our future educators meet. So, you want to be a teacher, right? These are questions that we encourage you to ask yourselves as you are thinking about what it is that you want to do in the future. We want you to think about why. Why do you want to be a teacher? We want you to think about what ages you might want to teach. We want you to think about subjects that you might want to teach. Thinking about, would you want to teach your entire career, or where might you want to teach? So being able to answer these questions is really a critical part of your overall experience as a teacher candidate here at JMU. And I'm going to check and see, I think that we might have one of our ICE students actually with us here. I'm going to let her introduce herself. Is she not? Nope, not here yet. Okay, well, once she gets here, I'm going to have her talk to you a little bit about some of these things in terms of why she wanted to become a teacher. So we offer a lot of different programs in the College of Education at JMU. We have elementary programs. Oh, here's Alexis. Alexis, can you introduce yourself really quickly?
Yeah, sorry. I think I was an attendee on the thing. I couldn't see myself or anything. I was like, I don't know what's going on. But hi, I'm Alexis Bonfigli. I'm a senior IDLS major with a minor in inclusive early childhood education. I love this program so much. Mira actually introduced it to me when I was a freshman. I was an LEd minor, but she convinced me to change to ICE. So here I am.
And that's a perfect segue into what we were going to talk about. So there's many different programs that we do offer at JMU, but tonight we are really focusing in on the inclusive early childhood, which is going to prepare you to teach children anywhere between birth and 3rd grade. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the program of study, and as I'm talking about the program of study, I'll talk to you about some of the different types of classes and how we prepare students to teach in the field. So the overall general program of study is that you take a total of 120 credit hours. Now, Alexis just mentioned that she is majoring in IDLS and minoring in ICE. We actually have changed our programs within the last couple of years, and now you actually get to major in the ICE program. So it's an actual education major, which we're really excited about. You still would have an opportunity. You can stay at JMU and get a master's degree later on. You can come back, or you can just stay on through, but you also can now finish this program in just 4 years. And you can finish and get your same teaching license with the dual endorsement as you would in the 5-year program, okay? So that being said, instead of majoring in something else, you are now majoring in ICE. So you're taking general education credit hours along with your ICE major credit hours. You can see here on the screen, you take roughly 41 credit hours that are specific to your ed major. So we have clusters at JMU, and I'll actually show you guys those if we have time. And then you have 6 credit hours that go specifically towards your Bachelor of Science degree requirements. And then you have 48 credit hours that go towards your ICE major. And I'm going to break that down for you here in just a few minutes. All of these requirements also help lead you to that teaching licensure. But you have an additional 3 to 25 credit hours that go towards licensure endorsements. The reason there's such a big range is because we recognize that some people in this program might not actually want to go on to be a teacher in the classroom, right? So you could take electives if your path that you choose is not to be a teacher. But if you are choosing to be a teacher, then instead of taking a lot more electives, you would do your student teaching requirements and the seminar that goes around along with your student teaching. Let me just make sure that we don't have any questions. Okay, great. All right, so let's look into a little bit more detail of what this would look like. So you come to JMU, you start freshman fall, and you start by taking one specific education-related class along with some of your gen ed requirements. So the first class that you take in the sequence is called XEd 200, and it's our Foundations of Exceptional Education course. And I think this is actually when I first met Alexis, is when she was in this course. Freshman spring, you take 2 additional education courses. One is the Foundations of American Education, and the second is Teaching in a Diverse Society. And then you're also working on your gen ed clusters. After that, sophomore year, you will start into your ICE major courses. So you take an Issues and Trends in ICE. I am actually teaching that class right now. You take Child Development, and then you are also placed in a practicum field experience. And that's where you get to go out into the field and work with young children. And typically what happens is you are working on your assignments from those 2 courses, and you're doing observations, you're doing projects actually in the field, in the classrooms that those students are in. And then you also are going to take some gen ed requirements during that semester. So the first 2 ICE classes you see right here are both 3 credits each, and this field experience is 1 credit. And typically you take between 12 to 16 credits a semester. Sophomore spring, you're going to continue into another field experience. And then you're going to take a curriculum class, which is called Teaching Young Children, an assessment course. And then you'll also be taking a seminar in classroom management and guiding behavior. So you can see that as you go throughout the program, your major courses increase as your gen eds are decreasing because you are finishing those up. Junior year, you can see that you're again in a field experience. One of the things we really value about the ICE program is field experiences. We try to make sure that you have field experiences almost every single semester. During this junior fall, you're also taking a families issues course, and you're taking your first methods course, which is your instructional practices in social sciences. And then you take a inclusive literacy development course. And then some students will also have a couple of gen eds to finish up at this point. Junior spring, another field experience. And then you continue into your methods classes, taking a math or numeracy class, a natural sciences class, and then the second half of that reading literacy course. Senior fall, when I talk about this, it seems like it goes by so quickly. Senior fall, you take a second behavior management course. So this one is focusing in on more individualized behavior interventions for maybe students in your classroom that have more challenging behaviors. You're also taking a class called Teaching Learners with Complex Care Needs, and this is a class that focuses in on students that might have medical needs and more complex care that you might be working with. And then again, you have a field experience. And then this semester, you're also taking some elective courses of your choosing. In the spring is when you student teach. So in ICE, because you're getting a dual endorsement, which I'm going to talk about in a little bit, you are going to actually have two different student teaching placements. And one of those will fulfill one part of your teaching license endorsement, and the second will fulfill the other in terms of requirements. You also have a seminar in ICE, and that is an online seminar. The reason it's online is because one of the things that we do as a program is we actually allow students, if you're from the state of Virginia, to go back home and student teach. So in the spring coming up, I'm going to have students student teaching in Richmond, in Northern Virginia, Virginia Beach, and then also in the Harrisonburg, Rockingham surrounding area at JMU. Okay, so that's just a little bit about what your course, your program of study would look like if you choose the ICE major. So let's talk a little bit more about what it means. What are the strengths of our program? Why would you choose ICE? So before, at the beginning, I asked the question of what age would you want to teach? So it's really important that in ICE, you understand that you are going to be licensed to teach up to third grade. So if early childhood is your thing, then you are in the right place for this program. The program is a dual licensure program, and in the state of Virginia, there is two different licensure endorsements for special education. You will receive one of those. You will have the birth through age 5 special education licensure endorsement. That's also often referred to as early childhood special education, or ECSE. So you'll get that licensure endorsement. And then your second licensure endorsement is pre-K through third grade general education. Okay, so that means that you are able to do a lot of different things with your degree and your license. You can be a early childhood special education teacher in a self-contained classroom. You can be a preschool teacher in an inclusive classroom. You can be a preschool teacher in a general education classroom. You can be a kindergarten, first, second, third grade inclusive teacher or gen ed teacher. And then another part of this program that you're able to be involved in is something called early intervention. And that is where that birth through age 5 part of your licensure, right? So you can actually become an early interventionist, which is services that are typically received in a family's home. So that's when you will go into a family's home and work with families to coach them as they work with their young children that might be born with a disability or delay or something along those lines. So lots of different things that you can be, lots of different things that you can do with this licensure. We also have a strong cohort model, and I'm going to let Alexis, if you don't mind, just talk a little bit about what it's like to be in that small cohort.
So this was actually one of the reasons that I joined ICE, because with a cohort, you're able to take all of those classes that Mira talked about in the beginning, your course sequence, with the same people every time. So that same group of classmates that I had for my very first ICE class, I've had through my entire course sequence in ICE. and you get really, really close with them. I mean, we have like a group chat. We all go and get dinner together, hang out together, watch movies, stuff like that. We're really, really close. And it's really helpful because we can study together or do work together because we're all in the same classes. So that is a really, really good strength about being in the ICE program.
Yeah. And it really does become like a little family. I've had students tell me that it made JMU kind of feel smaller and more intimate for them once they got into their ICE courses. It also allows us to provide really detailed oriented field-based experiences. So you'll really get to know your professors. Alexis can also tell you, I've taught her in multiple classes. There's another professor, Dr. Brown, who will also be someone that you consistently see in your ICE courses. We have a lot of focus on project-based learning and performance assessments. So it's not the kind of thing where you're going to have lots of quizzes and exams, but instead we really focus in on having meaningful hands-on learning experiences that you will use in your future careers as educators. We're also a nationally accredited College of Education program, and we have a strong reputation across the state as producing really solid teacher candidates. So this is usually a question that parents ask a lot, but are there jobs? And the answer is absolutely yes. Currently, actually, in the state of Virginia, there is a very large shortage of teachers, but especially there is a huge shortage in the field of early childhood special education. And that is one of the licensure areas that this program provides. So there's definitely jobs available. I have actually been at conferences where I've had a superintendent or somebody in a district see my name tag and see that it says JMU, and they've chased me down and said, "We love your students. We want your students. Can I give you my business card? Or do you have any students that are graduating in December?" I get emails all the time asking if we have any teacher candidates that might be interested or able to take a job in different districts. So, excuse me, there are definitely jobs out there. Another thing that JMU does a really fantastic job of is academic advising and career development. So the Career Development Center is something where a lot of students go to have resumes reviewed and learn about openings that might be out there. We also have very specific teacher recruitment fairs at JMU. So our Education Support Center in the College of Ed, they help host these teacher recruitment fairs actually on the JMU campus. And then, excuse me, in just general, dual licensure is a huge draw for school districts. They see that you can be wearing two different hats, and they are often really excited. And I have heard people say that those resumes just kind of move to the top of the pile because you have versatility there. So definitely we'll have jobs. Did you want to add anything, Alexis?
Yeah, actually, I really like the dual licensure part of this program because taking these classes made me realize that there is always going to be a student in my classroom that has extra needs, and just having a general education licensure would, I feel like, not have prepared me as much as having that dual licensure in special education. I feel way more prepared to teach students that need extra help or need extra accommodations because, like I said, there will always be a student who needs extra help in my classroom. So,
yeah. And we really do stress that inclusive piece, right? And looking at every single child there's differences, right? We all have differences, and embracing those differences and learning from those differences and having that additional knowledge and having that additional coursework to know specifically how to differentiate to meet the learning needs of all of your students in the classroom is really beneficial, and something that our students are really able to talk about and to share portfolios and things like that at job interviews. Another question that is commonly asked is, what about teaching in other states? So you will definitely be able to teach in another state. Virginia has reciprocity with most of the states. In fact, I think all of the states, but it just depends on what that reciprocity looks like. So some states, they might require you to take their state teaching exam. Some states just require you to fill out some additional paperwork and pay a fee. Some states want you to do a little bit more in-depth portfolio-based work, but I have graduates that are teaching all across the country. I have graduates that are teaching overseas, but from New York to Colorado to Florida, North Carolina, all of those states and have ICE graduates from JMU. Another commonly asked question is, what about financial aid and scholarships? You can see there's another link here, and we have lots of different financial aid and scholarship pools in general at JMU, but we also have some that are very specific to education majors. And then we even have some in our own department that are even specific to ICE majors. So there's definitely lots of opportunities to apply for those scholarships or to be nominated for those scholarships by professors. There's also the Virginia Scholarship Teaching Loan Program, where you can have some of your loans forgiven if you agree to teach in a specific need area in the state of Virginia. So overall, I mean, I know I'm biased, but I really do believe JMU ICE teacher candidates are amazing. Here are just some pictures of some of the cohorts in the past. You can see here, this cohort, they had class in the morning, they had a gap, and then they had class again together in the afternoon. So every single Thursday, they would come and they'd push all the tables together in, this is Memorial Hall where the College of Ed is, and they'd have lunch together. This is graduation. So again, hopefully we will gather for graduation sooner than later, but definitely building lots of lifetime friendships. I actually have some of our ICE graduates coming and talking to my current classes about what it's like to teach and be in the field. We do things like dress up and just have a lot of fun and bonding and time to get to know one another, which I think is a really important part of our cohort model in the ICE program. We have some time for questions now, and I'm going to let Alexis add anything she would like as well, just from her experiences as a student. This is my contact information here. So my email, this is my office phone number. I'm not in my office a whole lot right now just due to COVID-19 and everything, but reach out to me via email. And I also, Alexis can tell you that most of my students actually have my cell phone number, and I'm always happy to chat and discuss and answer questions. So I'm going to turn it over to Alexis and let her just kind of describe any big takeaways, and then I believe we'll have some time to also answer any questions from any of our audience that's out there watching.
I think Mira explained it perfectly, just kind of throughout the whole presentation, but every time that I tell people that I am an ICE minor, or for you guys in your case it would be an ICE major, a lot of people don't really know about our program, so because it is on the smaller side, but I think that in general, it is just such an amazing program. And I try to convert my friends that are ed to go to ICE, just again, because of that dual licensure program. And I personally want to teach early childhood education. That was another big takeaway from me, because LED is K through 6. And ICE is pre-K through 3 for general education. So it is focusing on those earlier childhood years, and the professors are amazing. Mira is amazing. Dr. Brown is amazing. They are really there to help you throughout the way. And it really is just an amazing program. I can't say enough good things about it. And people are always so astonished to hear that you're doing special education and general education, because that is not something that's offered at every college. So it's an amazing, amazing opportunity that I think a lot of teachers should take advantage of. And I don't know if, I'm assuming this is being sent out and posted somewhere. But I was going to put my contact information in the chat if anybody wanted to reach out to me, but I don't know if that would be able to be seen for, okay. All right, cool. But yeah, I can throw it in the chat right now. You guys can text me or email me. I'm on my phone a whole bunch. But yeah, that's really all I have to say. If anybody has any other questions, I'd be more than happy to answer those.
Great. Thank you. So now is the time for our question and answer session. So for those of you that have questions, I am going to open up our Q&A, and we will have some time to take questions. Don't be afraid to ask any kind of question that you want. I always tell students there's no such thing as a dumb question, right? So feel free, if you want me to go back into detail about something, please let me know. If you have specific questions about licensure, I can try my best to answer them. If you have questions about admissions, we also have somebody here from the admissions office that can help to answer those. So I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing my screen and open it up for our Q&A. All right, so we have our first question. This question says, I'm currently a junior in high school taking DE/ECE classes through Nova. How would these credits affect the classes you listed for freshman and sophomore year? That is a really great question. So I'm not exactly sure what you mean by DE/ECE classes through Nova, but I'm guessing you mean that you're taking some early childhood education courses at the community college, and you're wondering if those credits would be counted towards your license, or not your license, but your licensure program. Thank you. Dual enrollment, early childhood education. Okay, yeah, so this is a really great question. It's a hard one to answer, because what we do is we do transcript reviews, and sometimes we do syllabi reviews, where we look at our objectives that we require for our courses, and we see how they might align with classes that are being transferred in from other schools. So I can't tell you for sure that they would count towards your ICE major, but most likely they would count as some type of elective credit. But again, it is challenging to say that without actually looking at the course numbers and doing that transcript review. But that's something that that can happen in the process of applying to the College of Education and the programs. Great question. Okay, so our next question is, how are they doing hands-on teaching during COVID? I was wondering if this question might come up. That is a really excellent question. And the answer is, it depends on what practicum level you are at and what school district you're assigned to. So right now we have different districts in our area. So typically we have students placed in 4 to 5 local school districts around JMU. And each of those school districts are handling COVID in different ways. Some of them have in-person learning for their youngest students, which are the classrooms that many of our ICE students utilize. Some of the schools are doing all virtual learning. Some of the schools are doing a combination of both. So depending on which ICE student you talk to, you might find that an ICE student is in person 1 day a week with their teacher, following CDC guidelines and protocols and doing everything that the school is recommending to be open safely. You'll find some students are doing their practicums virtually, where they're actually Zooming in or doing Google Meet with the classroom teacher and their students on a weekly basis. Alexis, what are you doing?
I'm actually in a virtual placement through Google Meet at Spotswood in a first grade classroom. I think that having the experience or opportunity to do virtual learning can also be very beneficial. Obviously, it is nowhere near the same as hands-on field experience, but I think it is a good way to gain insight how to do virtual learning if we ever have to do that again in the near future. But learning different resources and being able to see a teacher transform her entire curriculum and her lessons and stuff like that into a virtual learning environment is amazing to see. I definitely applaud all of the teachers that have to change everything to virtual learning. But having that resource as a cooperating teacher to be able to guide you onto how to teach virtually, I think is a really, really amazing opportunity. I know that not a lot of people will get that opportunity because, like I said, nobody really expected everything to go online. But I think if you turn it into a positive and think about how you can utilize those resources, like I was saying, to teach online, I think that it's really beneficial. And I do enjoy my placement online. The kids obviously are still very cute and they still have, you can see their personality through Zoom or Google Meet still. So it's still a good experience. That's a really good question.
Yeah, and for those students that are needing some supplemental hours, we also, JMU, was able to purchase access to a very large video library that has thousands of model lessons and model classroom videos where it's, you know, teachers out in the field that are all nationally board certified teachers. So I've been using those with some students also that aren't able to get as many hours as they might need in the classroom or on virtual classrooms. But it's definitely been an interesting process and experience for everyone. But last spring, when we pivoted very quickly, I had students out in the field that were student teaching, and they got to learn a lot of the virtual tools that they are now using as first year teachers. So definitely valuable learning experiences both ways, even though it looks a little bit different. We've also, as professors, adapted some of our assignments. So for example, one of the classes that I'm teaching, typically there's some assignments that go along working with young children in a classroom, and I've had to adapt that. I've matched students up with individual families, so they're working one-on-one with a student each week and looking at students' development and social skills and building relationships, and we're making it work. Great question, though. Any other questions from anyone? So while we're waiting to see if maybe anybody else might have questions, I will talk a little bit. I'll loop back to, I said if we had time, I might, oh wait, hold on, we have a question. Are there continuing education requirements for maintaining licenses after graduation? Yes. The answer is yeah. So in the state of Virginia, you do have to renew your license. They actually just recently moved it out so that you don't have to renew it. I want to say that it's now 10 years. Don't quote me on that, but I want to say it's now 10 years before you have to renew. Um, but professional development that you'll do within your school district counts towards licensure credit renewals. Some people choose to take a course at a university. Sometimes I'll even have students in my classes that are actually in-service teachers and they need a course for their licensure re-endorsement, and they can take that through our outreach programs. So yes, there are requirements. We have an entire education support center that we call the ESC, and they are really great about helping you through all of those processes. They are the ones that help keep track of all of your field experiences and all of the paperwork and everything that you need to do to get licensed in the state of Virginia. And then what you do once it's time for you to graduate is you submit some of that paperwork, and they have kept track of all of your tests and your CPR training and your dyslexia training and everything like that. And then they're able to actually submit that to the state for you. Because we at JMU have Virginia Department of Education approved programs, and they will then be able to give you your license because that paperwork and everything is signed off by JMU. Great question though. All right. So what I was going to mention before, and please keep thinking of questions and feel free to type them in as I'm talking, but I was going to talk a little bit more in detail about what it looked like now that we have ICE as a major, right? So when you come to JMU, you'll actually be assigned a freshman advisor, and they will work with you and talk to you about your general education course requirements. The way that JMU does that is we break them into different clusters that you need to fulfill. And they will give you some ideas and some suggestions of what to take when and how to fit them in with your education courses. And then the spring of freshman year, you'll actually come and you'll meet with me. I'll be your ICE advisor, and we'll sit down and we'll map out your program. We'll see if there's anything additional that maybe you want to add on, like the autism certificate, or maybe you're interested in behavior specialist programs. We have a lot of additional programs at JMU, so we'll sit down and we'll talk about those kinds of things, and we'll map out your progress. So lots of guidance with that, and we really try hard to make sure that you are taking what you need to take when you need to take it, so that you don't get all the way to junior year and realize, oh wait, I took the wrong 3 gen ed requirements. So we really will work closely with our students in our advising sessions to do that. All right, any other questions? We have a little bit more time tonight. If anyone else has anything. All right, well, Alexis, do you have anything you want to add before we close up for the evening?
I don't think so, if nobody has any other questions.
Okay. And again, you have my contact info. If you were not able to see Alexis's contact info, we'll make sure that that does get to you. And we'll also have access to share any of the links or PowerPoints or anything that you might be interested in. So feel free to reach out to myself or Alexis or anybody else in the College of Education. We're always happy to answer questions and guide you as you are deciding what next steps are for you. Thank you for joining us tonight.